down your spine if you hear these three words: Grand Theft Auto. I know that when I say this, about 80% of the people in America that hear me are going, oh, geez, here's a crazy conservative on TV screaming about the dangers of video games.
Grand Theft Auto 4 will forever be one of those games that never gets old or outdated. Regardless of which game within Rockstar's flagship series you prefer to play, you can't deny that GTA 4 was technically superior and far more balanced in both challenge and difficulty. Besides ideally representing the technical and graphical capabilities of the 7th console generation, Grand Theft Auto 4 also set new standards for open world games. No other open world game offered the level of immersion that GTA 4 had, from the random and sometimes awkward interactions with NPCs to the remarkable vehicle physics programmed within the driving sequences, all the way down to the grand scale 3D world. Within this video, let's examine what made GTA 4 the ultimate open world game. The first
might make history. Last night, Rockstar Games invited us to take a look at the long-awaited and top-secret Grand Theft Auto 4.
Now, we cannot talk about everything we saw, but we do have some first impressions of the game as a whole. The first impression was just sort of the size of the game now.
Yeah.
I know the last game was also incredibly
very big.
large, but this game's a lot more dense.
Exactly.
The first announcement for GTA 4 was at E3 2006. It was here where VP of Microsoft Interactive Entertainment Business Division, Peter Moore, famously showed off his GTA 4 ink to a crowd of game journalists. From this point on, GTA 4 would become one of the most anticipated games of the 7th console generation. So what exactly makes GTA 4 an important game? Well, let's list the obvious first. This was the first GTA game to be developed for the 7th console generation. It was the first GTA game to incorporate a modern feel to the series. It lacked the cartoony visuals akin to the other games, and instead presented a far more darker but tame tone. It was also the only official sequel that Rockstar created since 2001 with the release of GTA 3. But forget about all that, just know that Grand Theft Auto 4 came out at the perfect time when mature gamers who grew up playing PlayStation 2 or Xbox were trading those consoles in for PS3s and Xbox 360s. Basically, GTA 4 is one of the main reasons why a lot of gamers purchased the newer console. Everyone knew that GTA 4 was going to be the next and greatest game, right up there with Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Halo 3. And if you didn't care about video games whatsoever, there was no escaping the promotion of GTA 4. In promoting the game, Rockstar employed various viral marketing strategies around New York and Chicago throughout 2008. These strategies included posting various wanted posters that promoted characters and the website, along with commissioning various murals to be put up on public buildings. Rockstar would actually end up suing the Chicago Transit Authority for the removal of such ephemera. Oh, and get this, apparently you could have called a special phone number listed on the website for Liberty City's fictional WKTT talk radio station. Fans were actually given a chance to leave a detailed message voicing their problems for a chance to get it read on the air, or in this case, the game. And finally, there was the Text to Win contest, which offered fans a free trip to New York for the launch of GTA 4, just in time for the official release. The winners were given a trip to New York along with $10,000 in cash. Additionally, they were given 2 nights stay at a hotel, gift bags from GameStop, $250 more cash, and 1 key to open up several lot boxes at the launch event. The lot boxes were said to have contained 38 unmarked envelopes containing awards from $100 to $10,000. In many ways, Rockstar wasn't just promoting GTA 4, they were also helping to usher in the next console generation. With all their promotion of GTA 4, they took it a step further and partnered with various retail giants along with Sony to offer a 40GB PlayStation 3 console with a copy of GTA 4. Let's turn our attention to the story of GTA 4, as it is pretty different compared to the previous games. GTA 4 centers around protagonist Niko Bellic, a former soldier and smuggler who just arrived at Liberty City for the first time. Why is an Eastern European immigrant on their way to Liberty City? Perhaps it was all those attractive postcards his cousin Roman sent him over the years. Or maybe because he wanted to sample an authentic American cheeseburger. Or maybe, like the majority of immigrants that have settled in this wonderful nation of ours, he simply wants a new start in his desires to live out the American dream. Oh yeah, he wants to find a guy who betrayed his unit about 10 years ago, prior to arriving to Liberty City.
I know the traitor was not me. So for 10 years, I've been searching for the other two.
Unfortunately, that American dream that he heard from his cousin Roman is nothing more than an illusion. It's evident by the sad apartment he's forced to live in. And while his cousin looks successful, he's actually running a failing taxi company and owes a bunch of money to the local Russian mafia.
Fucking battery, this is chaos!
Capitalism is a dirty business.
Yeah? Like war?
Not exactly.
No, maybe not. When you going to tell me properly about what happened? I'm not going to judge you.
I don't want to bog you down with too many details, as I do want you to experience the story itself. Just know that GTA 4 retains a strong narrative delivery through various interactions that the player has with many characters of the game. Previous GTA titles drew inspiration from plenty of classic films. For instance, Vice City drew inspiration from plenty of classic gangster films such as Goodfellas, Carlito's Way, and Scarface. While GTA San Andreas, well, it drew its inspiration from a number of hood cinema films such as Boys in the Hood, Training Day, and Menace to Society. But GTA 4 lacked any major reference to popular films. Instead, it offers something kinda new. And that is, as the player, you are experiencing Liberty City in its truest form. Like Niko Bellic, we are taken in the city and the many people inhabiting it for the first time. This idea of an immigrant story to the writers seemed fun and interesting. Plus, it would provide a sort of nuanced experience for players, allowing them to relate to Niko much more. While Niko tries his best to stay out of trouble, the criminal world of Liberty City just keeps pulling him in more and more. So as you progress through the story and unlock new parts of the city, you meet more and more of Liberty City's shady underbelly. The major detail related to GTA 4 in this regard, which left a deep impression on me, was how diverse the criminal enterprises were within the city. It's sort of similar to what they did in GTA 3. You begin working with one faction of criminals warring for control of the city, and soon find yourself branching out to others. The factions in Liberty City for Grand Theft Auto 4 range from the Russian Mafia to the Irish Mafia and the Italian Mafia. And in between, you do work for a few freelance criminals such as Little Jacob, the Rastafarian weed-smoking drug dealer, or Brucey, the steroid-abusing, car-obsessed, egocentric workout freak. No doubt GTA 4's story will keep the player not only engaged but also greatly entertained. As a long-term fan of Rockstar games, the GTA series always represented the pinnacle of total freedom and escapism for which video games are famous for. If you want to focus on completing missions, fine, but you always have the option to do other things, from the vigilante missions to street races, to dancing in the club, or wreaking havoc and destruction while earning those sweet stars. Indeed, this is what attracted even the most casual video gamers to the series, the sheer level of freedom it offered to the player. I think it's fair to say that through playing the entire series, Rockstar Games had always done their best to not only grow with their audience, but also offer them new and exciting features. There are plenty of game series to this day that basically offer new versions of the same game that people have been playing for over a decade. Examples include Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and especially the Madden series. But that wasn't the case with GTA games. With each one, you could expect something new. And with each release of a new GTA game, Rockstar and their parent company, Take-Two Interactive, could expect immediate negative blowback. Grand Theft Auto 4 had its critics. One was Peter Vallone Jr., chairman of the Council of Public Safety Committee, who compared the setting of the GTA in New York City to Halo being set in Disneyland. Another was Police Commissioner Raymond Kelly, who called it despicable to glamorize violence in video games such as these. And of course, there was Jack Thompson. Yeah, if you watched any of my previous videos, you'll know who Jack Thompson is. He was the Florida state attorney who protested the making of GTA 4 and was on the verge of filing another public nuisance complaint against Rockstar's parent company, Take-Two. Just 1 year earlier, Take-Two would file a lawsuit on Thompson. This prevented Thompson from filing another public nuisance suit. Additionally, Take-Two's lawyers from the law firm of Blank Rome also argued for compensation of legal fees for all Thompson's previous attempts to sue the company. It truly was an ironic turn of events, and best believe that Thompson was legally prevented from filing any public nuisance complaint against Take-Two. Take-Two and Rockstar had their fill of Thompson. A lot of the attacks against Take-Two that year were also the result of the controversial release of Manhunt 2. Particularly when it came to the release of Manhunt 2 on the Nintendo Wii, Rockstar's first real debut on the 7th console generation. Take-Two was under the radar of several politicians heading into 2008, and much of the heated attention Rockstar had thanks to Manhunt 2 was easily transferred to any update related to GTA 4. Jack Thompson himself would go on public record for comparing GTA 4 to outbreaks of polio throughout the 1930s. That same year, he also wrote a very concerned but hateful letter to the mother of Take-Two chairman Strauss Zelnick. By this point, Jack Thompson had been so far on Take-Two's wanted system that Rockstar decided to create a mission within GTA 4 that had Niko Bellic assassinating a similar public crusader attorney. The major issue with GTA 4 arose from the controversial ability to drive drunk in the game. In case you were wondering, GTA 4 was the first game to actually have drunk driving. Anytime you visit the bar with a friend, Niko and his associate become enamored to their gills. And if you get into a car, you can actually expect 1 star right away. Now, in order to sober up, I usually have Niko stop to get some food, but not always. Sometimes I would just take my chances and drive anyway. Now, as gamers, we consider this to be a joke and for good reason. But some people, such as the non-profit organization known as Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, not only criticize the game's drunk driving, but also would file a request to the ESRB to change the rating of the game to adults only in order to remove it from stores. Yeah, here we go again, right? This of course did nothing to change the rating, as Rockstar felt that the audience of gamers were far too sophisticated to actually drive drunk. I would also like to point out that people were drunk driving far before video games were created, but that's neither here or there. So how's that for controversy? Oh, you wanted some more? Well, okay, how about the supposed robbery committed by 6 teenagers in New Hyde Park, New York in June of 2008? One day, the Nassau County Police Department received a call that a group of young men armed with crowbars surrounded one woman's car and stole her money before she could drive away. Upon further investigation that day, the group of teens were discovered and arrested. One of the arresting officers reported that the teens confessed that they were emulating the characters and scenes from the popular Grand Theft Auto 4 game. Take-Two and Rockstar would deny any links, and most people would just label the criminal perpetrators as hoodlums and nothing more.
Grand Theft Auto was originally released back in 1997. The first 3 versions of the game have sold over 70 million copies. The newest version was released this week, and there were lines outside of the stores waiting to grab a copy. GTA version 4 projected to sell 9 million copies just by the end of the year. That is $450 million in sales. And who says crime doesn't pay?
Considering for a minute that GTA 4 did in fact offer some of the most realistic violence, it's a little funny how little controversy the game actually generated, especially compared to the other releases within a decade. Heading into the modern era of video games, the idea that video games could train people to commit murder or crimes was seriously outdated and basically irrelevant. And frankly, at this point, I feel a little like a broken record mentioning incidents such as this. For the majority of us, GTA 4, regardless of the controversy and concerns, still made a deep and lasting impact on video games for its innovative gameplay, strong narrative, and larger-than-life characters. Yeah, GTA 4 was something alright. Here you were back again in Liberty City. Immediately, you'll notice how different everything looks compared to cities and maps found in previous entries. Yes, Liberty City is technically smaller than the massive sprawl which was San Andreas, which included 3 major cities across 2 states. And yes, there are no large roads or large acres of land to get lost in. But at the same time, the city itself, well, is booming and full of activity. GTA 4's Liberty City is innovative in terms of design and detail. As you can imagine, there was a great deal of work put into making Liberty City. By 2008, it represented Rockstar's biggest endeavor to date. The preliminary work on GTA 4 began just 1 month after the release of GTA San Andreas. Rockstar would end up assigning over 1,000 developers working across various subsidiaries to design the game. Besides the 220 staff from Rockstar North, the development team also included 50 members from their NYC office, 40 from Rockstar Lincoln, 10 from San Diego, and 600 to 700 others. Indeed, this was one of the first games to have such a wide and extensive development.
I think the other thing that both of us were noticing was the level of detail.
Yes.
Like the small details, the stuff that's going to take a while for you to play the game to start to pick up on.
Well, just like the way he moves, for example, the way he's going to, run downstairs.
And just walking around the city itself, which acts as the biggest character of the game, one can see firsthand the extensive amount of research that went into creating Liberty City. In their efforts to achieve a realistic environment, Rockstar North would once again send their employees out to gather information on New York City's layouts, architecture, and landscapes. These employees would in turn film various locations and capture various amounts of stock footage that in turn would be used to create a 3D city environment. Along with stock footage, the team at Rockstar North also took between 100,000 to 250 photos as well. I'm not exaggerating when I say that they wished to capture as many details as they could. And while the Liberty City scene in GTA 3 had a great deal of work in its creation, this Liberty City featured fewer dead spots and irrelevant spaces. In terms of sound, the ambiance and noises are seriously impressive. Plenty of games that tried to capture the vibe of walking around a dangerous inner city, but few pulled it off like Rockstar did. Trust me, I'm someone who lives and navigates around West Philadelphia. Perhaps the biggest difference that sets GTA 4 apart from other GTA games is the use of Rockstar's advanced game engine, known as the Rage engine. Traditionally, Rockstar had always used the Criterion Games renderware engine for Grand Theft Auto. But when this company was bought out by EA in 2004, they made the switch to a new game engine technology group under Rockstar San Diego, which basically created the Rage engine that would utilize Euphoria animation. Euphoria animation would allow the in-game characters to behave in a more realistic manner without any restrictions or limitations. To create this engine and the use of Euphoria animation, Rockstar would partner with Natural Motion. The uniqueness of the engine is best exemplified by seeing firsthand how players can interact directly with NPCs. Players would experience realistic situations and rather unique encounters. For example, you could do things like holding up traffic. This was something you could do in previous games, but to no major consequences. Here you can cause a major road blockage that can be dangerous to you and NPCs. And forget about doing awesome things like shooting a gun off a moving car. Unfortunately, real life physics are very much a part of the game.
Holy crap.
Don't expect to jump out of a moving car or jump on a moving car without taking some health. Now, I spent a lot of times over the years just messing with NPCs in the game. In GTA 4, you can simply shove anyone who gets in your way. You can also choose to harass people to the point where they actually chase you out of annoyance. And most of the time, they don't give up no matter how long you run. Sure, you could do this plenty in previous GTA games, but the overall reaction and comical nature of the interaction is priceless here. When you play, you really do feel like you're part of the city as you interact with various NPCs. Cops, for instance, won't just start shooting at you or randomly beating you up with 1 star. When you have 1 star, they actually try their best to arrest you. Now, you could stand there and be apprehended, or you can just run away and escape incoming fire.
Also really neat is that it's not like, it is still like the old Liberty City that we know from Grand Theft Auto 3. It suddenly felt familiar. There's so much detail inside of it.
And for example, like almost all of the rooftops you're going to be able to go onto and explore and use in your combat and your strategy.
Yes, and it definitely leads to stuff like sniping. There's a lot of fun that can be had from very, very high up on a rooftop.
Compared to previous entries in the series, Grand Theft Auto 4 was easier, but in the right ways. In making the game, Rockstar incorporated easier controls and intuitive game mechanics to work to the player's advantage. Starting with the general movement and controls, players are able to move Nico in a much less restrictive way than before seen with Tommy Vercetti or Carl Johnson. Given the new engine that Rockstar was building around the game, players are given a full 360 control of Nico. Nico can move or climb around various obstacles so long as he can reach the ledge. He can also duck and take cover by hitting the left bumper control. He can also move back and forth out of cover to fire weapons. Indeed, GTA 4 lacked the issue of sporadic and uncoordinated movement that the previous game suffered from. Turning our attention now to a few new game mechanics. The most apparent was the new but classic warning system. Yes, police chase you and you can increase the number of stars you have up to 6. However, in this game, you can actually lose the police if you're a good enough escape artist. In previous Grand Theft Autos, you could lose 1 star easy enough, but once you got to 2, cops would tail your butt until you could find the nearest paint and spray. That isn't the case at all here. Regardless of how many stars you have, you can lose the cops. By simply evading police and picking the right points to move or not, you'll see those stars fade away. Another game mechanic which I've really come to love is the use of the cell phone. This small device is pretty convenient in a number of ways. Let's say you failed a mission, which if you're me, you fail a lot of missions. Well sure, you could just drive back to the mission start, or you can hit the try again button to instantly be taken back to the starting point or checkpoint of the mission, depending on how long the mission is. The fact that I can just hit restart on a mission really takes away from the anger and frustration that comes with failing a really hard mission. The cell phone's also useful for unlocking new missions. Once Nico completes a job for a character, they might contact him for more work or put him in touch with another person that can give him more jobs. Throughout the game, as you unlock more of the city, you gain better cell phones with more and more contacts. I still can't believe how much Rockstar put into using the cell phone. I mean, besides being useful for missions, you can also use it to store cheat codes and use them on the fly. Talk about convenience. I mean, you never have to memorize or remember a cheat code at the last minute. But then again, I am someone who always prided themselves on the ability to enter a cheat code from muscle memory alone. Cell phones can also be used to communicate and hang out with friends. As cold and calculating as Nico Bellic is, he's still a guy who likes to have fun and go places. Using the cell phone, you can call up cousin Roman to hit the strip club, or call little Jacob for a game of pool. Or why not hit up Brucey to go cruising around the city? It's really a matter of what you feel like doing at the moment. Going again back to offering freedom to the player. And from time to time, they hit you up to schedule a get together. It's through these escapades around Liberty City that we hear Nico casually conversing with friends and not doing illegal activities. The ability to simply hang out provided players a small break from all the mayhem and destruction and offered a refreshing way to experience Liberty City. Another game mechanic which makes GTA 4 easier is the taxi cab. Sure, in Vice City you could take a cab directly back to the start of a mission, but here in GTA 4 you can just flag one down easy enough. I will admit that most of the time I did this to get around the city. I like driving in the game just fine, but taking a cab is just so much easier. Players could choose to ride in a taxi and listen to the radio, or just skip the ride altogether. This is especially good for someone like me who gets easily distracted by causing mayhem on the way to a mission. I don't truly wish to call this game the best Grand Theft Auto of all time, because to me the best one will always be Vice City. Simply for the fact that Vice City did so many things right, such as utilizing the money you make throughout the earlier missions to gain control of assets and advance the story. I also don't want to take away from San Andreas either, because San Andreas did so many things correctly, such as offering RPG elements that improve your character's stats and abilities. But in the long run, GTA 4 just had a lot going for it. It lacked many of the more frustrating aspects of previous GTA releases, such as utilizing every part of the map and the lack of dead zones or empty spaces. Even though Liberty City is respectively smaller than the map seen in San Andreas, it shows that the developers were able to concentrate more on intrinsic details that gave the city some life. GTA 4 also famously added the first autosave feature so that you would not lose your progress after forgetting to save your game. And let's face it, we all have been guilty of this at some point. You can typically autosave after completing a mission, so you don't need to worry about acquiring different properties to get save points. Speaking of which, this detail is also gone, along with the ability to earn money from purchasable assets. But regardless, you can make plenty of money by completing missions or side missions. Grand Theft Auto 4's legacy would lie in the fact that it earned around $500 million of units sold within 1 week of release. To this day, it's remembered as one of the highest selling games of all time. And as a follow-up, the game would be given 2 official DLC games, Grand Theft Auto The Lost in the Dam and Grand Theft Auto The Ballad of Gay Tony. Perhaps one day I'll have time to talk about those entries. But for right now, I'll end things by stating that if you have not played Grand Theft Auto 4, you are missing out on one great game. This is Bob of Smoking Fiend Productions signing off. Peace out, y'all. Oh, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, especially if you'd like to see more retrospective videos. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.
If I did, I would not speak to you in this country. You got these refugees. Fucking America, you're right, but I'm a fucking Irishman. We got more boys than bottles of whiskey. And that says a fucking lot. Fucking Yates and shit. You know him? Cannot say that I do. He wrote about fighting and dreaming.